Ash Williams, an iconic horror hero and my personal favorite horror character. With that being said, I'm very happy that Ash is in Dead by Daylight. His design is pretty good, and Bruce Campbell voices him, so that's pretty awesome. Unfortunately, that's where all the compliments for the character ends. In DBD, he's really bad. I'd go as far as to say he's the worst survivor in the game. Why? Well, one, he's really loud, but two, and this is the most important part, his perks are god-awful. And I'd go as far as to say he has the worst perk in Dead by Daylight. So I decided I'm going to go over his perks, show actual gameplay of them in action, give you builds that would make them a tiny bit better, just a tad, and I'll tell you how I'd personally fix these perks to make them usable and maybe even god tier. So here goes a critique on my main. Alright, so the first perk is Flip Flop, and in my opinion, it's mediocre. So it says here, you have the uncanny ability to escape the inevitable. While in dying state, 50% of your recovery progression is converted into wiggling progression, up to a maximum of 50% once you are picked up by the killer. I think it's a really cool concept. I think that it's a very good idea. I think that it's very fun. Unfortunately, it's kinda weak. What you are now watching is gameplay of me using Flip Flop. I was down on the ground, as you can see. I was by a pallet. I could have been picked up, and I could have used Power Struggle. I could have brought myself back up from Unbreakable, but I decided that I should give Flip Flop its time to shine. I wanted to escape with Flip Flop. The killer picks me up, and I start wiggling, and all I needed was 50% more of the wiggle, but I just missed it. And the killer hooks me. Flip Flop failed. I played around 6 games with Flip Flop and none of them worked, and that is the only clip I have of Flip Flop almost being useful. Like I said before, I think that Flip Flop is a very fun idea, and I think that it is a very fun perk, especially if you are able to pull it off. Unfortunately, there are many moments and many times where you will be hit down and the killer will not slug you and you will be hooked, and if the killer does slug you, then you have to pray that you can actually wiggle the rest of the 50%, because there could be a hook right next to you. Here we are at the builds. So, the picture that you are looking at right here, right now, is the build I would use. So to explain it, you have Flip Flop, you have Unbreakable, you have Tenacity. In my opinion, those three should always go together. Now, the fourth perk that you see is Boil Over, and on top is Power Struggle, and below is Soul Guard. The reason why I did that is because I think the fourth perk could be switched out between either of these three. I feel like you do need Unbreakable and Tenacity with Flip Flop to make it better, but the fourth perk could either be Boil Over, Power Struggle, or Soul Guard. Now that is my suggested build for Flip Flop. That's what I think is the most powerful to get the most use out of Flip Flop. You could do whatever you like. There could be other perks that might go well with Flip Flop also. I just think that that is the best build that you will see for Flip Flop. Now, here is what I would do to fix it. Here's what I would do to make it better. I would make it 75%. Now, I know that might be a little crazy, but I would make it 75% instead of 50. I think 50 is kind of weak. I think 75 would be pretty strong, and it would be a good punishment to slugging. So I think 75 would really fit. I think that that would make the perk really good, and I think it would be very feared. So that is personally how I would fix Flip Flop. Just make it 75% instead of 50. Let me know what you think. Maybe that's too strong, maybe you have a better idea, but that is what I would do to make it better. As it is right now, if I were to give it a grading, I would say Flip-Flop is a C. I think it's a pretty fun perk to use, it just does not work all the time, and it's pretty hard to pull off. So if I gave Flip-Flop a C, and in my opinion Flip-Flop is the best Ash perk, everything is all downhill from here. Dear God, guys. Buckle up, okay? I'm gonna go ahead and say it, this perk is god-awful, but you know what? Let's read what it does first. Unlocks potential in your aura reading ability. You can determine the recovery progress of dying survivors by the intensity of their aura at a distance up to 48 meters away. When healing another survivor from the dying state to the injured state, the killer's aura is revealed to both of you for 6 seconds. Listen, this is what I was talking about when I said he has the absolute worst perk in Dead by Daylight history. This is god-awful. This is literally pointless. You do not need this perk at all. You do not need this perk at all. You do not need it. If you figure out how long it takes for someone to recover on the ground, there you go. You can just go based off of that. And the reward is stupid. Both of you get to see the killer for 6 seconds. Well, here's a clip of me literally using Buckle Up. And guess what? The killer was right in front of us. Because he downed the survivor. Why would he be super far away from the survivor? 90% of the time, the killer is going to be right where the survivor was downed. This perk is absolutely god-awful. There's no point to it. It's trash. Okay, what you are looking at right now is a photo of the Buckle Up build. Where Flip-Flop, you have different perks you can use with it to make it good. Buckle Up, I had a hard time trying to put perks with it. So here you have, we're gonna live forever so that you can heal people in the dying state 100% faster. That just makes sense. For the people, it's so that you can heal the person in the dying state or the injured state up one state, but, you know, then you get injured. You have to be healthy in order to do that. You get injured. I feel like that would make sense for Buckle Up. I did not get any gameplay or use of for the people using it with Buckle Up. I literally couldn't do it, so I don't know if it actually counts for Buckle Up. I don't know if it actually works, but if it does, that's what I would use for the people. And then Diversion. I just thought of Diversion, like maybe if the killer's kind of on you and you're trying to lure him away from the person in the dying state, and then you use Diversion and try to lead the killer away, and then you can quickly heal the survivor in the dying state to injured to get Buckle Up to work. But the whole thing is why? Why would you even use this build? Why would you even use Buckle Up? It's pointless. It's really stupid. So here's what I would do to fix Buckle Up. I personally think that this is what should happen, right? Stay with me. If you heal a survivor from the dying state to injured, if you help a survivor when they are being carried by the killer, so like if you pallet stun, if you blind, or if you're like, I don't know, let's just say 8 meters away from the killer or closer, and they successfully wiggle out, you gain a token. Not only do you gain a token, the survivor that you just helped, that you just saved, gets let's just say, 8% haste for 10 seconds so they can run away from the killer, because the killer's probably going to target them after they just lost them. So they get 8% haste for 10 seconds so they can run away a little bit faster. And your token, what your token does, now get this, when you pallet stun a killer, your token gets used. And what it does is it makes the pallet stun longer. So now you just helped out your survivor, your fellow teammate, and you get something out of it. You get to pallet stun the killer, and the pallet stun is longer than usual. I wouldn't say a double, like times 2 of what the pallet stun is. I'd say like what it is and a half. So it's not completely OP, but it's worth it. People would actually try to save survivors to get that pallet stun and a half to get away from the killer. It would be very clutch for a survivor if they had those tokens. So I think that that's what Buckle Up should be. I think that that would be really cool. I think that that would make it a very useful perk. I think it would be pretty god tier, quite honestly. And Buckle Up being such an awful perk, it needs something like that to make it way better. It really does. Because Buckle Up, the state it's in, the state it has been in for over 2 years now, it needs to be fixed. So if I were to grade Buckle Up, I would give it a complete F. It's an F. It's bad. It's the worst perk I've ever seen. It's god-awful, it does nothing, and the reward is useless. It's stupid. Don't use it. I hope they fix it soon. Alright, so Mettle of Man, the last Ash perk. This has a very tragic history. When Mettle of Man first came out, so basically when Ash first came out, it used to be so very good. All you needed was 3 normal hits, and then after those 3 basic hits, the next time you were supposed to be hit into the dying state, it's completely ignored. It was amazing. It was a great perk. It helped survivors clutch, very much so, and it was fun to use. It was probably very annoying for killers, but it was very fun to use for survivor. So, with it being how overpowered as it was, they decided to change it. And it was a pretty drastic change. So let's read this. Evil has a way of always finding you. After triggering your 3rd protection hit, Mettle of Man activates, and you are protected by the Endurance status effect. Any damage taken that would put you into the dying state from the injured is blocked. When you heal again, your aura will be revealed to the killer whenever you are farther than 16 meters away. Mettle of Man deactivates the next time you are put into the dying state, increases the odds of being the obsession. The killer can only be obsessed with one survivor at a time, yada yada yada. I tried to get gameplay of it. I got gameplay of it. I actually used it once, but I played like 10 to 15 games. Oh my god, it's pretty hard to use Mettle of Man. It used to be the easiest thing ever, and now it's insanely hard to use, to the point where it's not even worth it. No one really uses it, because it's hard to get. Protection hits are not easy, let me tell you. They're not easy. It's fun to use, where Foot Flop is fun and Buckle Up is completely worthless and it's not fun at all. This is also kind of fun to use, but it's not useful. Like, it can be useful, it can help you, but it's too hard to get. You go out of your way to do something for one annoyance for the killer, and all you really do is make them even more angry. It's not as worth it as it used to be. It's not completely god awful, but it's not as good. Okay, Mettle of Man Build or Builds. See, there's a little bit more leeway with this perk. If you want to get Mettle of Man used, if you want to use it and you want it to make sense, Breakout. Always have Breakout with you all the time. Also bring Alex's toolbox, because you might as well just, this is a sabotage build. Protection hits, you might as well just do a sabotage build with Mettle of Man, because that's where it makes the most sense. So Breakout and Mettle of Man, it's like flip-flop with Unbreakable and Tenacity. You just use them together. So Mettle of Man and Breakout helps the survivor that's being carried wiggle out a little bit faster. Saboteur, also pretty good to use, especially if you're a beginner and you want to know where the killer's going to go with the hooks, like to what hook, so that you can help sabotage it. Again, I suggest bringing in Alex's toolbox, because it's a lot better than Saboteur in my opinion, but Saboteur will help because it'll show the ores of the hooks. Empathy, again, if you need to know where the survivor is, you'll be able to see when they're injured so you can get to them. And then I'd say Dead Heart is pretty good because you can rush over to the hooks in time to help the survivor out. And Built to Last is really good because your Alex's toolbox will be used more. It'll have more seconds to it. So these are the perks that I would use, besides Mettle of Man, because you have to use Mettle of Man in a Mettle of Man build, but these are the perks that I would use to make it a bit better. So maybe there's other perks that would work well with Mettle of Man as well. It's just, this is what it's been reduced to. This is what I think would work with Mettle of Man. Now, here's how I would fix Mettle of Man. Here's what I think would be more balanced, what would be fun for survivors, and not as much of a pain for killers. Here's what I would do. I would make it so that it's 3 normal hits, but you also have to safely unhook the survivor twice and or blind the killer while the survivor is being carried, or pallet stun the killer while the survivor is being carried, basically saving a survivor. So saving a survivor when being carried, and or unhooking a survivor safely 2 times. So you have to get hit 3 times, and then you have to do that. You have to help your survivor out 2 times in those ways. So it's not as easy to get, and it's not as bad as the protection hits. That's how I'd honestly fix Mettle of Man. I think that would make it a better perk. You can keep the downside to Mettle of Man, because that's what helps keep it balanced as well. So that's what I would do to fix it personally. Again, you let me know what you think about all of my fixes, and if you think it's a little bit overpowered, or if you think it's decent. But that is honestly how I would fix Mettle of Man. Now, for grading, I'd give it a D. So I gave Flip Flop a C, I gave Buckle Up an F, I'd give this a D, because it can be used and it can help you. It's just really, really hard. You have to go out of your way to use it. So, in conclusion, all 3 of these perks are very, very, very situational. They're not great. They're really not great. Flip Flop is fun, Mettle Man is fun, but they are very hard to use, and Buckle Up is nowhere near fun, and it's very, very bad. So I really feel like Ash needs help. I feel like they really should consider buffing his perks if they were to choose a perk to buff first, I'd say Buckle Up. I think Buckle Up needs the most help out of all of them, because at least Mettle of Man and Flip Flop are fun. Buckle Up serves absolutely no purpose whatsoever. So honestly, I would fix all three of them, because I think all three of them need help. It's Ash Williams. He is a demon slayer, and they gave him very bad perks, very, very bad perks. He needs the help. He needs to be fixed. Let me know once again, let me know what you think about my fixes to the perks. Let's start a conversation. Also, on the very off chance that a developer sees this, please, 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 please fix Ash. Just fix his perks. Maybe give him another cosmetic. And then I'll shut up forever. He's my main. I just want more respect to him. I feel like he deserves more respect. So that's about all I have to say. Share around. Let this message be heard. If you're an Ash main, share it to everyone you know. Yada, yada, yada. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. Let me know what you guys think. Hopefully Ash gets the respect he deserves very soon. Thank you guys for watching. Peace out.